Hello. It's been a while. Just been busy. Anyways, um, this is going to be something that a lot of you asked for. Maybe not in particular this first video, but um, this whole series in general is something that I've been thoroughly asked for. It's got a slight variation because of something that I've been working on, but this video is just going to be covering how to create um, the bot portion of a Twitch bot that'll connect back with a web server or website, I should say, that we will be making with Vue.js, which I know a lot of you have been asking for more on. So I think a lot of you will find this beneficial, and this will allow you to communicate directly with the bot to the website. And it'll show you some options. Now, obviously, this isn't like if you're building a secure thing, but if you're looking just to send information quickly, it's a really easy way. Obviously, if you are going to be trying to make it in a secure way, say you want the bot to connect to a server, a website, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to figure a way to correctly route the information from the bot to the server without allowing anyone to meddle with it. So that's either going to be on your API, I guess your API in quotation marks, your calls through the sockets, communication between the bots, making sure that that can't be tampered with, like only the bot can connect to the website, but the website can't connect to the bot, that'll work. Or you gotta make sure that you have some sort of authentication going on in there, and that's a bit more tricky to manage, and I will maybe go over that if there's enough interest later. But I like to not really go into authentication at the moment because it can get a bit more complicated, and I'm no security expert, so I can't say with a definitive fact that this is the best way to do this in the most secure way. But anyways, let's go ahead and get in. So like I said, this is going to be just making the bot portion, and where I'm going to be doing a Twitch bot because it's really easy to do. I think it's easier than even making Discord bots because it's just text manipulation, basically. And what this is going to be doing is it's just going to grab a list. It's just going to be grabbing op.gg's from my channel, my Twitch channel. Whenever you post into that, it'll take that and send it over. So if something you're going to need to do first is you're going to need to install the two packages. First, you're going to have to install socket.io. So I believe it's just npm install socket.io. Not that. Socket.io. Stop it. Anyway, it's just socket.io. And then you're also going to need to do npm install no-twitch bot. Like this. If not, you can just Google them. Very easy. And, and before we get into this all again, I started a new GitHub page, and I will be uploading the full source code to there. Something though, there will be a couple things that won't be immediately linked, so you'll just have to do that yourself, because you can't be just going around copying, but it will be there if you want to go ahead and use that as your plate. Yes, anyways, to get started, like I said, we're going to need those two things. So we're going to start off with a constant Twitch bot equals require Twitch bot, and I'm assuming you're coming in here with at least basic knowledge of how Node works, and so if not, you need to go find some tutorials. If need be, I can go ahead and make some tutorials, but it's fairly straightforward. I think might be a bit oversaturated for some tutorials. But all this is doing is it's just grabbing the module that we just installed, and we need to do the same with socket.io. So constant io equals require socket.io, and we need to pass a port. I'm going to use port 3030. The reason we need to pass it a port is because it needs to work on a server, and this is when we passing this port, we can it's going to instantiate a server on that port. Or what we could do is we don't have to do this, and if we already have a server set up, we can allow it to use that server instead, which they just have an example on their website, which is fairly straightforward. But anyways, one thing that we need to go ahead and do real quick is we also need to have a config file, or I'm going to use the config file. You yourself don't necessarily need one. I'm just going to be doing it to not show this. That's precisely what I did not want to happen. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and change that before it's uploaded, so it won't work anymore. Anyways, so now that we have that, what we need to do is we need to, like I said, it's going to be grabbing the list of what's his name? It's just going to be grabbing a list of OPGGs off of a Twitch chat. So obviously, we're going to need to create a array that will store the OPGGs, and all this is going to store is the string itself for a OPGG, and that's what we're going to send to the client when they first connect and whenever we update it. And then also we want to keep track of their names, so we're also just going to create another list. Another thing we could also do is we could create an object, and for list, just create list object and make that an object, and excuse me, and just store this is the key, the name is the key, and the OPGG as the value. But I think this is just a bit easier to implement, personally, so that's what I'm going to be doing. But that is an option. And so, on what they need to do is we need to send them the information when they first connect. So Socket.io luckily has a nice listener event here that we can access, and we will get a socket in return. And so what our goal here is we want to send them all the information when they first connect, because if we only just send information as we get it, you know, all the different websites, if they're different versions of it, will be all mixed up, and it'll be really weird. So we're just gonna we're going to do what it's called emit, and so we'll just name it new OPGG, and this is what we're gonna send to all the people connected to the the website. Well, not the website. This is not the website, but this is going to work with the sockets, like the socket server, I should say. Sorry, I'm a bit out of it. So now that we're meeting this, we need to send the information, and so it's going to be sending itself an object. So we can just do new OPGG, and we'll send it as a list. Send the list of OPGG, and then we'll just send user, and that'll be list of names, and that's easy, and that's all we gotta do. Later on, when we're gonna want to add some more options to it, we'll have to add a clear function, which will allow us to erase the list, which will indeed require us to do some basic authentication, which I'll show you when we get there. Now we want to create the actual Twitch bot so we can moderate the chat. So it's just really easy. You just use it like this, and in this value, we just pass it three things. The username. Here, let's keep things consistent. Username. And then right, yep. And then I just named the bot Mobalytics, not bot. auth. We also have to pass it. Oh, actually, my bad. We don't pass that in strings. Forgot. OAuth, and then this is why I had the thing, and I have it under my config file as key, and then channel. This is going to be the channel that we want it to look into, and it's just my channel. And one last thing to do before I forget, I want to go ahead and bring in bot config.json. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's technically obsolete, but for compartmentalization's sake, it makes it a lot easier now that that key is moot. Anyways, so now that we have connected the bot, or we have created the bot, we now have to connect to it. And the Twitch bot makes it very easy. It actually uses promises, which I think a lot of you will like, considering that you guys have been begging me to switch over. So it's just easy, bot.connect, and then .then, just use this fancy arrow notation, yeah. And what we want to do here is we should get access to the bot now, and we can go ahead and do listening and all that stuff. So what I want to do is for listening for OPGGs, because of a weird formatting error, I need to go ahead, I cannot use the bot.text, the original text function. I have to go ahead and use the one where it gets the information from, which is bot.raw. And this will pass you the raw information that Twitch, sends the clients regarding chat, because this is in something called an IRC, or Internet Relay call, chat. And you just gotta parse that ourselves here, and it's really easy to do. I'll show you. But we're gonna be passed an error in event here. More error notation. So the first thing we want to do is if the event dot command type equals normal, and note that this is these are all just properties of the event, as it's called, or the chat object. But however, we have to do these checks here first to make sure that it's actually a message, because you'll get everything, including things that are just pings, trying to see if you're still there, and also whatever they decide to send you. So we're also going to check if index o priv message is greater than -1. Alright, so let's go ahead and break down this line right here, because this is where things starting to get a bit clustery. So what's going on here is saying if in the event sent the command type is normal, then we're good. And the event.args, and what the .args here is basically the in our case going to be the string itself, that Twitch sends over, has priv message in it. What are we missing here? Less than priv message. Then we want to continue on, because if you dump out the event every time it sends, you will notice that only the chat messages will contain priv message. So this is a good way to identify and allow us to choose which ones we want to work on. So this is how we're choosing to do so. Next up, we're going to use some regex that I have already put together. For the sake of just making it easier to follow along, I will put actually, you can go and just onto the GitHub and get it, but I won't really explain too much what this does, because that is a fairly complicated thing, and but I'll give a quick rundown. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'll just go ahead and copy it. Alright. So what the dot match allows us to do here is it allows us to go ahead and go through the string, which in our case is event.args, and store whatever it finds that matches this pattern into here. And so it'll come out with, I think, 2 or 3 things, depending on how much it finds. And these are just identifiers standing for global, and I don't remember which one that was for. But basically, this is saying if the string starts out with HTTP or HTTPS, colon, // because when you have the when you have the slashes, you have to backslash it out because those actually means something in regex. And this is just a way to make it so it's looking explicitly for a / and not whatever regex interprets it as. So it's basically saying HTTP or HTTPS colon // dot star. And what this is saying, this is basically anything in a greedy operator. And what a greedy operator does is it'll just continue on for as long as it can, eating up everything along the way, 0 or infinity, basically. So blank.gg/someone username, and this is just the rest of the OPGG URL syntax, and it'll store that information for us to use. So now we can go ahead and do checks on it. So we want to know if it doesn't find an OPGG. It doesn't matter. However, if it does find an OPG, we want to save 2 things. First off, we want to save the event information of who sent it, which is just going to be another regex string. And you can, the site that I use to test all these is regex 101. Personally, this is what I use. I always have it on dark theme. Yeah, and you can just put in your regular expression, and you can insert a string, and it'll tell you if it can find it. And then it's nice because it also has code generator. So, ooh, they added more actually recently. It wasn't here the other day when I used it. But it allows you to just copy paste code, and you can modify that for whatever you need, which is great. So that's all that's doing. So this is just grabbing the username of the Twitch user that sent the OPGG. And all we have to do is list of opgg.push. So we're just going to push these. And like I said, it adds multiple, so we want to make sure that we're grabbing the first item in the array, because it returns an array. And it's the same thing with user, except we don't have to put it to array because we're explicitly grabbing. It's only going to return one thing. Forget why, honestly. It's just because regex is very, very weird. But anyways, we also now want to use the socket.io, so we can go ahead and push out a new OPGG list, and this is going to be new OPGG list of OPGG, and then user list of names. Right. So one thing I think might confuse you is you'll be like, hey, root, why are you using io.sockets to emit? Why aren't we using, like we did up here, socket.emit? And that's a good question. The reason that we are using this form is because we can't access socket.emit, because that's only a function of connection. And what happens is you'd be like, oh, then let's put all this in there so we can access that. However, that means it create a new, it try and reconnect to the Twitch chat every single time someone joined, which would be catastrophic for your internet connection if it got big. It might even, depending on the way this works, it might even create different instances of connections, and that'll eat up your RAM too. So this is just to avoid any conflictions and possible memory leak issues. And luckily, Socket.io makes it easy to connect to send information to the sockets when you're not um, inside one of these listeners. And that's just io.sockets.emit, and it'll achieve the same thing. And that's all we want to put in here. Last thing to note is we must add, then we must add one more thing. We need to add a .catch to make sure we get all those errors. And console.log connection error. Cannot type today. Console.log error. Alright, and now. Alright, so that's that. And this is really simple. The last thing that you might want to do is if you're doing a ton of operations, you might want to have a save operation per se, where before, if it crashes, or before if you manually accept the function that that it cleans up the app, like say you're constantly writing something, then you have it finish writing before, otherwise you could lose the data or corrupt the file. So it's actually really easy to do. So we want to not close the program instantly, and we can kind of cheekily do this by using this line here. And this is going to basically it kind of would like act. It's the standard in is what it is, and it'd be kind of working with inputs, and this will prevent the program from closing instantaneously. Then after this, we want to go ahead and make our exit handler. Options, whatever we're doing, and then the error, and then we could do whatever we need here to do. Just make sure you exit so it'll properly close out. If you need to, this would be the space where you want to finish out using FS, file system, writing files and stuff, like I said before. Then we're going to do the different types of exits. So the first one is exit. Alright, there we go. Exit, and we want to, hold on, we're going to do something called binding. So we want to go ahead and reference the function, the handler for the exit, and we're going to bind it, and we're just going to pass it null, and exit true. And these are going to be the options that will be passed. And then we're just going to copy this. Five times. And we're going to change, so that's exit. Now we're going to do sig int, and this is basically if we hit Control C, sig user 1. This would be if you're using nodemon. This would be kill. You'd be using the kill command. So like kill PID. Same thing here. And then the last one we want to go ahead and use is uncaught exception, which would be if it kind of like crashes. And that's it. And this is the this is the Twitch bot we need. In the next video, we'll go ahead and start building the actual web component part of it with Vue.js, and that'll be one or maybe 2 videos, or we'll see how it goes. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll try and get this next video out within the next couple of days. And let's go ahead and see if we can go ahead and get things going more often. I think that would be good. Yeah, alright, see you guys later.